I'm going to end with just one wrap-up question, which is I'd love to hear from each speaker one thing that you've learned from someone else on the panel. And I will start. One thing that in 2018 there were a few plucky people badgering Stephen, and that turned into an industry-wide response to a climate crisis with 70 supporters. So I'm going to constantly endeavour to be like those plucky, annoying people that were badgering you back in 2018, Stephen.
Very good, thank you.
I'll hand over to Caroline.
Right, so I think there's a couple of things that I've taken away from today, and I must say it's been a really interesting conversation. There's a couple of builds on some of the questions that we were talking about in terms of, you know, trusted platforms and where brands can place their media and feel, you know, that it's a safe space. You know, I'm massively encouraging our customers and our partners, and from an agency perspective and brands, to continue to use out of home. Out of home is a trusted media in the public eye, but also when you put a public message out there, there is accountability. And I think, you know, the space that out of home creates for that type of message is really important. I'm going to take away from Ali the corporate social justice instead of corporate social responsibility. I think that's really interesting. I think that it really does provide, you know, the impact that we really need to see in that space. But I'm also going to do the Ad Net Zero Essentials certificate that Stephen has talked about, and I think, you know, that the onus is on all of us. We've talked a lot about shared responsibility, and I think, you know, that is a really good starting place to take some responsibility.
Thank you. Yes, I think we're all going to be doing that course quite soon. And on that note, I'll hand over to Louise.
Thank you. I'll echo Caroline. I think it's been a fascinating debate, actually, and the thing that's come through to me from everyone is just how serious everyone is taking this, and I think that is a marked difference to where we were, say, 2 years ago. I think the pandemic has shown up on us as individuals, but also on us as consumers and as people working in the advertising industry, which is an incredible platform to publicly change mindset and change behavior. And actually, I don't think we should never shy away from that. Like, I think your point, Amy, on Ogilvy coming up with the carbon footprint, I had no idea, but that's incredible, and it transforms the world as a result of it. So from an advertising perspective, we have so much power in our hands, and when we come together collectively, like in these kind of discussions, I think you can see the shift. You can see it from Ad Net Zero, to your point. You can see it with the Conscious Advertising Network. 2 years ago, 5 of you in a room setting that up. It's an incredible change that we can make as individuals. And I think that's what I'm going to take away wholeheartedly on that, is actually we're much stronger together than the sum of our parts. And again, I think that the corporate social justice, I absolutely love that. I think it speaks to so many different layers that actually it does tie back into where are you placing your advertising, finding out where your spend is going. I think Laura's just put on the chat that actually a lot of brands didn't know that they were advertising on GB News. And actually, where does that responsibility sit? So it's part of all of us to keep challenging, to keep asking, to keep demanding that actually what I'm doing is a reflection of my values, and tasking the media owners to prove that's working. And I think that the CSJ side of that, in terms of doing good for all, really speaks to that promise much more than responsibility does. It's much more active.
And that is the perfect segue to you, Ali.
I'll keep it really short, but again, reflecting everybody, I'm going to be doing the Ad Zero Essentials course on Monday as well. Stephen, it's been fantastic to hear about that, and congratulations for getting that off the ground. It's just super important, and also, ironically, it also fits into CSJ and social equity as well. So that's brilliant. It was really wonderful. I really didn't realise all the great work that the out of home sector are doing in the community space, and that was really new to me. So that's really fantastic to hear about that, as is the social marketplace. And also props to you, Amy, for also really championing Good Loop and really keeping on going with all the great work that you do, and I think really, you know, putting that media spend back into communities, and you know, really great to hear from you, James, about the work going on at the Guardian. You know, again, just super enlightening. So yeah, just a real privilege to be part of this panel today, and you know, just reflecting what you've just said, Louise. You know, I think we've all had this profound sort of shift in consciousness, and I think, you know, and you know, I just can't wait to see what impact we're all going to have collectively, and you know, what's going to come over the next couple of years. It feels like we're at such a pivotal moment in our history, and you know, it only feels like we can all become a force of good, and more power to us when we're together as well. So yeah, thank you for such a great discussion.
Man, this is such a motivational session. I'm pumped. Let's hand over to Laura.
Well, I'll keep it short because otherwise I think I'll just echo everybody else. But I really liked Ali's categorization of how you want your brand to be, whether it's sort of an ally, advocate or activist. And it does feel like a minimum, all brands need to be an ally. Really, there's no way around it to be representative and listen to your customers. So I think it's really considering then how far do you want to go, how far can you go, and the steps you need to take to do that. And we've talked a lot about greenwashing, and there's rainbow washing, and I think there's quite a fear sometimes with brands and you know, cancel culture and being accused of doing stuff. But what I'd say from a brand perspective is to just start doing it, and you know, look at what you're doing now and where you can take those short-term steps, and what your long-term goals are, and just start working towards them, and find other stakeholders in the business that are really going to help you drive that forward. But don't be afraid, and there's lots of resources out there, like the AdNet Zero and Conscious Advertising Network, that are there to help you to sort of navigate all of these things.
Thank you. Yeah, and over to Jo.
I think for me, everyone's kind of said it, but the kind of movement from CSR to CSJ, I think really hit home, and that's a really interesting way to look at it. I think also from hearing with everyone, it's really interesting to see the kind of red threads in terms of different activity and work that people are doing in similar areas. And I think going back to the idea that we are stronger together, I think there's real opportunities for how we can start to bring this into one kind of area and start to kind of gain momentum. So I think, to kind of I think this is a kind of pivotal moment where I think we are going to see a real shift in terms of everything that we're doing. Yeah,
the momentum is palpable. Stephen, what's one thing you've learned from someone else today?
Well, I think I'm going to say something from all this. You know, we're a tiny trade body, and we put these things out, and they only work if businesses take them up. And what I'm hugely, you know, impressed with is hearing, you know, all of these fantastic businesses on this call, really living all of these things and changing their businesses, because that's how we'll have the impact that we need to have. You know, a trade body putting out a program means nothing. It only has an impact if people take it up and work with it, and we've seen fantastic take up. But there's, you know, I'm so impressed by the work of Creative Equals, Conscious Advertising Network. We have got an extraordinary sort of richness, I think, in the UK particularly, of these sorts of programs and initiatives and impassioned groups of people who want to make things better. Yeah, it's a wonderful sort of indomitable thing of the human spirit, and we have it in spades in advertising. And I think it's something to be hugely proud of, and something I'm very proud of to be in this industry when we talk about these things. Not many other industries have it in the same way. And I think maybe because we are so conscious of our role in society, because we touch so many parts of the economy, you know, everything from advertising vaccinations through to, you know, selling cars. You know, that makes us, I think, hyper conscious of our societal role. And I think we're responding, my feeling is we're responding really well to that. There's always more to do, but you know, the progress we're making here, I think, is probably, I would say, very hard to see anywhere else in the world.
James, what's something that you're going to take away from this session?
Well, I was just thinking that, I mean, the conversation happening in the sidebar there was quite interesting, right? The point Laura just made about advertisers not knowing where their budgets are even being spent. I mean, it's it's a bit mad that YouTube have had to stop monetizing climate denial. You know, who would want to fund that? That's a bit weird. So that's quite an interesting conversation. But really to echo what everyone else has said, I think what's really nice about this is it's quite a broad panel in terms of the organisations we all represent, and it's just really reassuring to hear people pulling in the same direction. And collective initiatives like Ad Net Zero, are really important in keeping those groups together. So that's really reassuring.
We're all gunning towards the same goal, and I think it's fair to say this has been a pretty inspiring session. Thank you all for joining, and thank you to our audience for tuning in. I will leave it there. I hope you will have a lovely Thursday.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Amy, and thanks everyone.
Thank you, Amy.
Thanks,
Thank you, everyone.
I was just going to raise one final point, just to say that we've spoken about so many interesting, important topics today. Some of the points raised around people wanting their work life to relate to our own values actually leads on really nicely to our next Crunch event, which is coming up on the 25th of November, around discovering, supporting and retaining talent. So hope to see you all then, and thanks so much again to everyone.
Thanks very much. Bye.
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 Thanks all.